PSA's parent company collectors to Aqcuires Beckett. Welcome back everybody to another episode, and today I want to do a quick discussion on PSA's parent company collectors acquiring Beckett Grading Company. So I am definitely not an expert on grading your trading cards or your sport cards, but I thought it would be fun anyways to take a look at this major development in the market, give you guys my opinion on what I think about it, and also support the story with some of my own graded card experiences and examples. So let's get all the cards out and let's get ready for the episode. For as long as I can remember, which is only the last 5 years since I became seriously interested in trading cards, there are 3 main grading companies that people tend to go to get a third-party assessment on the condition of their cards and get their cards slabbed. These grading companies happen to be CGC, Beckett, and the biggest of them all, basically bigger than every grading company combined out there in existence, is PSA, Professional Sport Authenticator. Now what we see here, the parent company of PSA is trying to get a hold of Beckett, and actually they succeeded to do so. Now what you see in front of you on the desk here are, for example, this graded card by UGS, which is a totally unbeknownst company to me, and I would never purchase any other graded card besides Beckett, CGC or PSA myself. However, there are actually some exceptions which I'm gonna name shortly here. I was looking for this Palkia V alternate art from Astro Radiance for a very long time and watching the market prices go up and down and watching the trend basically. So when I saw this card pop up on the European card market when the raw near mint price was actually around 40 to 45 bucks, I saw this graded copy in a 9 for 45 bucks as well. Usually, any other grading company besides PSA, Beckett and CGC does not influence the value and are maybe less likely to be considered trustworthy. So instead of buying a near mint raw copy from a random seller, I thought, okay, let's try my chances and purchase this 9 graded copy. So furthermore, I already attempted to purchase a raw near mint copy once before of this exact same card, and it came damaged with a huge binder dent on the left side. So I had to send that card back. I eventually paid half of the return shipment costs, and it took me a lot of time to argue with the seller and go back and forth and send it actually back to the seller. And what do you know, a raw near mint copy is now going for around 65 bucks on European card market, so I think I did well. Anyways, the lesson for me was that such a card never appreciates in value by having it graded by such a grading company. Moving on to where we left, we have an old CGC label here. So as far as I know, CGC only exists for a couple of years. In the first 3 years of their existence, they used a blue label, which is now also referred to as an old label. I have purchased this card around 3 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit less long ago. Basically the same thing happened as what happened with the other UGS graded card. I saw this card on the market and it was only 10 or 20 bucks above the regular raw near mint copy price. And I thought the CGC 9.5 is a really great copy card, a really great quality in general. We can see here the left to right is a little bit off center and the top to bottom as well. So no matter how many times you regrade this card, it will never be close to a perfect 10. But this is what I would call a really good looking near mint copy. Although the label says mint, yes, it has no damage, but I'm really trying to stay away from calling cards mint. I don't know why that is the case, but I think it just grew on me like that you are supposed to sell cards as mint, but rather as near mint. But anyways, after a few years they changed up their label to be black and white. And besides the change in label color, another more important aspect changed. They changed the grading scale. They no longer use 9.5 grades in CGC. If you have ever graded a card with CGC in the old label era and it received a 9.5, I think you received a message that you could freely upgrade it to a new label 10. And then they have, similar to what Beckett has going on, a perfect or pristine or black label in CGC right now. So it looks great, the change from a 9.5 to a 10, but basically it means the same. Although the 10 quality can be a little bit better, it will never be less than a 9.5, but I'm really happy with both of these cards. If you buy graded cards, you actually have to look at buying the card and not the grade. So there is a lot of inconvenience going on there, but nonetheless, let's go back to the main topic of today's video. What it comes down to is that both of these cards are some of my favorite Pokemon cards ever, and they were on my wish list for a very long time, so I decided to get them a graded version instead of the raw near mint copies. Now moving on to the point. Here we have a PSA 10 of the Shining Legends Mew in Japanese. This was one of the first graded cards when I had a little bit more money on the sidelines. And I purchased it for 200 bucks. I couldn't believe my eyes when I just recently checked the prices, and on the European card market is going for around 500 bucks now. But that's besides the point, because I brought this card here now today for comparison, because what we have here is a Beckett Pristine Gold Label 10, same card. What I heard on the internet today, because when I woke up and this news article was published, my entire feed on YouTube was flooded with videos of people giving their opinions about this huge market development. And what a lot of people said, that PSA is now able to monopolize the entire market. Their only competitor by far in a distance is CGC. All the other grading companies are not worth noting actually even. But in the article on the New York Times, it is actually stated that the PSA parent company wants to keep Beckett going as an independent company. Now a lot of people have talked about SGC, which was an older grading company as far as they said. I am not sure about it, but apparently it was for grading sports cards, and also PSA acquired that company, and now it is basically gone. So I hope that is not going to happen to Beckett. I paid a lot of money for these cards. I only have one Beckett graded card. I can imagine there are a lot of people that paid a higher price, a really higher multiplier price on the Black Label cards. To see those cards diminish in value, that would be really a shame for those people, especially because there is such a high premium on there. What do I think of it personally? Well, I do really agree with the monopolization aspect. As PSA is just seemingly taking out all the competition, they can ask higher prices because they're the only place to go basically. They don't really have to do any improvements on their slabs, on anything to keep up with the competition if they're the only company out there. Customers lose their opportunity and ability to choose for a grading company that fits and suits with their preferences. I think if you own PSA graded cards, it is really good. The older cards might get more valuable, but on the other hand, if you get 10 of these cards now that would otherwise be graded by other companies, then there are more copies on the market, so the population report will be higher and maybe the value will decrease by that, which is obviously also entirely depending on the demand for the card. Well, we will see what is going to happen. Something that I wish I mentioned earlier in the video is that I have mentioned a lot of times last year that PSA made a statement and put it out there that they were going to come to Europe in 2025. Later on, when I spoke to a middleman that graded some of my cards in the past, but I've never actually graded cards for myself, but he said PSA has changed that statement and they are now coming to Europe in the mid of summer 2026. If this is the way how they wanted to come to Europe, well, they succeeded already in 2025, but it is still an independent company, Beckett, and maybe they can teach each other some things. Maybe it will be entirely beneficial to every party out there. The people that are going to grade the cards in the future, the people that have graded the cards in the past, and for both companies. I hope actually there will be a PSA submission center and maybe even a grading center in Europe in the near future. When I decide to grade my Pokemon cards that I have put aside and I will show you in an upcoming episode, I definitely want to try to grade them with PSA as my first personal grading experience. Maybe set out for a route towards Beckett later on and try to go chase that Black Label. And now to finish up this episode, I want to show you I have sent 4 cards in the past for grading that went through a middleman I just talked about. I sent this Sneasler, I pulled it myself from an Astro Radiance booster pack. So when I pulled this card from the booster pack, I really thought it had a good shot at the PSA 10. And you know folks, if you watch my other videos, I am really strict on my grading. Let's see if we can get some extra lightning in here. Oh yeah, that looks good, but a little bit shine on it right now. But actually I think I can't find any mistakes on the card. Same goes for the back side of the card. Let's see. This is not an examination episode for Pokemon cards, so we will do the condition check in another episode, but this is just to show you quickly what I graded myself. I found that the top to bottom and then left lower corner to upper right corner might be slightly torqued, as was said to me the term was for that. Just something to take a look at when I'm going to send cards again. Next up we have this Pokemon breeder. I had 6 or 7 copies in the binder. This was the nicest one. And it might have had the same problem. As you can see, left lower corner to right upper corner is not perfectly straight. The centering left to right is a little bit off, so it got a PSA 9. No other flaws at the card at all. Then we sent in, also had 6 copies in the binder, purchased for $2 a piece in around 2021. The PSA 10 copies at that time were only $60. And I never sold it, I just kept it and it went up to $350, maybe even $400 on the highest point. So I still haven't sold this card, I still have it in the collection as you can actually see here, but the price went down again, so I should have sold it maybe and I was able to buy it back later for a little bit cheaper. But it is also worth something to have your first graded card in possession, and I'm not ever going to let it go, I think. There is too much emotional attachment to such a card, although I do reselling Pokemon cards for the hobby as well. And then we have one more Pokemon card which to my surprise grew in value immensely as well. Not only the multiplier for getting it in a perfect 10 condition, but also the value of the raw card went up crazy. And let me tell you the story about this Celebi PSA 10 from Fusion Strike alternate art. I purchased 2 copies from Card Market for 35 apiece, 35 euros or bucks or dollars or whatever. And then I selected this card to be graded and it got a 10 and I was very happy with it, and it was around $200 in a PSA 10. Now when I wanted to get a little bit more money, I was a little bit less attached to this card and I put it up for sale for $200 and I got a lot of offers for 160, 180, 140. No one really wanted to buy it now for 200. Multiple offers for 160. And I just said all the time, nah, I don't want to do that. I can give you free shipping, $5 off. No one accepted those offers. I didn't accept their offers. And now it was around $400 also on the European card market. So I was really surprised by the prices of all these cards. Some of my favorite Pokemon cards we have shown in the episode today. And I have a lot more graded cards if you're interested. I'm definitely going to make another episode where I'm going to show more graded cards. I must admit, grading is not something specifically for me. I have tried to sell graded cards in the past and I have some cards still left that I purchased 3 years ago literally, and I put them up for $25 at just a regular illustration rare for in a PSA 9. Nobody is buying it. Nobody is really buying cards in the circles that I am in. People grade the cards, try to sell them. Okay, occasionally a base set Charizard, as you saw in the video earlier. Yeah, I have a lot of offers on that one, but I'm not willing to sell it. But I had put it up for sale. I listed it online for about $400. So I got a lot of offers in 1 week and then I decided to pull it from the website again. I really want to purchase more of this graded card. This is one of my favorite Pokemon cards as well. I have 3 PSA 10s and 2 PSA 9s and a bunch of raw ungraded cards. This is a typical example. If you buy it raw near mint ungraded, it will always come damaged. If you want this card in near mint to mint condition, I really advise you to buy it graded. It is a little bit of an older one and the booster packs are going for around $100 to $200 a piece. So there you have it. It might have something to do with it. But when I first purchased this first PSA 10 copy, there were only 90 graded copies available in a population of the PSA 10. But if you look this card up right now, the PSA population has grown to 480 copies in a PSA 10, I believe. So the amount of cards in a PSA 10 have multiplied by 5. On the one side, that's a cool compliment. I'm not the only person liking this card, but on the other hand, I think it will do something with the rarity and the scarcity of this item. So eventually with the price as well. Now that was it, folks. Thanks everybody so much for watching. Have a good day, and I'll catch you all on the next one.